Hey everybody, it's Dr. Kingsley with Better Vet.
I'm Rachel, and we're here with Chaos.
And today we're going to talk about everything dog food. Walking into a pet store, there's so many different bags and brands, and what do we pick? So we're going to try and break things down a little bit for you to make the process a little less overwhelming. Let's go ahead and start with the basics. What exactly does a dog need to eat? So dogs are omnivores. They do need carbohydrates, some fats, and protein.
How do we know if the nutrition label we're looking at is the appropriate makeup?
You can go ahead and look for the AAFCO label. And what that means is the American Association of Food Control Officers have broken down that food and deemed it nutritious for what a dog needs to be healthy in the life stage that it is labeled for. It is super important to recognize that adult dogs need a very different diet than what puppies do.
And I know that the puppy foods tend to have a lot more fat in them.
They
do. If you are working on weight loss with your pet and it's not happening, check the bag and make sure that it is an adult maintenance formulation.
Now that we've kind of broken down what the basics are, let's get into some common dog food myths. And I'm gonna say probably the number one I hear is that my dog's skin allergies are related to poor quality dog food. And that's simply not true. Most dog allergies related to food are actually tied to a protein source, with the exception of a few carbohydrates that they can be sensitive to. That segues nicely into the second biggest myth that I hear: grain-free diets are better for dogs. And it can actually be dangerous if it's not done right. There has been a tie to decreased amount of taurine, which is really, really important for heart maintenance and development in dogs.
It's important to remember that just because something's more expensive doesn't mean that the nutritional makeup is better or even appropriate for your pet. There's a lot of new boutique diets out there and great marketing and hot buzzwords. Without that stamp of approval that it is a solid formulation of all of the nutritional ingredients that your pet needs, be wary of those.
Moving into ingredients to avoid. If you are looking for a commercial dog food that is AAFCO approved, then chances are there aren't going to be too many scary ingredients that could be harmful for your dog. However, not all diets are, so looking at the bag, ingredients that can be less than healthy for your dog include artificial coloring as well as artificial sweeteners that can actually be potentially deadly to your dog. And if you're feeding a homemade diet, make sure you stay away from things like garlic and an excessive amount of salt. That can all be really harmful for your dog.
And also be careful with dessert. No chocolate here.
Yes, no chocolate, no coffee. With that, let's go ahead and answer some really common questions that we get from our viewers.
Ooh, I like this first one. Can my dog be vegan?
And the answer is actually yes, with the caveat that it has to be done correctly. If you feel strongly about your dog being on a vegan diet, please consult with a veterinary nutritionist. They oftentimes will need to look at what diet you're feeding and make sure it's properly fortified, meaning it has the proper amount of vitamins and minerals that dogs require in order to have a nutritious diet. All right, next one, and this is a big one. We get a lot about raw food diets, and are they better? The answer is sometimes. The definition of raw food is actually pretty vague. So some people consider raw food diets actually uncooked meat and protein sources, uncooked vegetables, so on and so forth. Others, it can be processed in a way like it's been pasteurized to where any type of foodborne pathogen has been removed, so it's a little bit safer for the family. In general, it's oftentimes an unconventional food that's not a kibble or a canned type diet. The one big take home with raw food diets is do not try and do it on your own. Veterinary nutritionists have years and years and years of education in order to make sure that each dog that they're creating a diet for has the proper nutrition. And if you just feed a normal raw meat diet with raw vegetables, chances are they're not going to get what they need.
And it's also a hazard for you and your family. The thing about raw food is that they carry the same pathogens that affect both animals and people. So hygiene is very important in keeping your kitchen clean and bowls clean as well on a regular basis, as in multiple times a day. You definitely don't want food to sit out for more than an hour or two.
Right. Moving on to, are certain breeds allergic to specific ingredients? Chaos is trying to be a carnivore right now and eat a fly, so good job, buddy. Honestly, every dog is different. There are some breeds of dogs that are a little bit more predisposed to skin allergies in general, whether it's environmental or food. But if you suspect that your dog has a food allergy, I'd highly recommend consulting with a veterinarian so you can do a dietary exclusion trial, which essentially means switching them to a food that their body has never been able to recognize or react to, specifically a hydrolyzed protein diet. Prescription hydrolyzed protein diets contain protein sources that have specifically designed molecules to be extra tiny, so they can sneak right by your pet's immune system without being considered an allergen. These dietary trials are just like a blood test, except instead of getting the result within 24 or 48 hours, we're getting the results of the test in 6 to 10 weeks. Until you really do a diet trial, you don't know whether or not your pet has food allergies.
It can be really tough doing a diet trial, but stick with it, because in the long run, identifying what your pet is actually allergic to is going to make things so much easier for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. We will wrap it up with our last one, which is, what is human grade and is it healthy for my pet? What do you think about that one, Rach?
That's a pretty good question. Human grade has more to do with the ingredients themselves and the facility that the food is made in. It has no indication of the nutrition level or how much your pet is going to enjoy it or anything like that. While it can be a buzzword, don't be distracted by that label because it has nothing to do with the actual nutritional quality of the food.
I agree. So one of the associations that's been made with the human grade label is the fact that kibbles are not human grade. Because you are really busy and may not have the bandwidth to make your own homemade diet every single day for your dog, it is completely fine and sometimes better to feed a kibble diet. It's convenient, it's reliable, and we know it's nutritious. Versus if you feel the need to feed only something that's human grade, which really only means that it's been deemed fit for human consumption, then you may be risking feeding your dog a less than nutritious diet. So be careful not to fall for some of the little gimmicky traps that are out there right now. There's lots of good resources, there's lots of bad resources, but if you guys have any specific questions or any specific food topics that you want us to dive into, please go ahead and comment it below. And if you don't, either way, go ahead and hit subscribe because that's the best way we're going to be able to provide you guys with the newest tips and tricks.
And feel free to share stories about successful diet trials as well. A little bit of encouragement always helps.
Thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you next time.
Of all of the nutritional ingredients that your
Dog food that is AAFCO approved.